Hello students, I am Pialina, your biology teacher, and I welcome you all to the biology e-learning classes. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we will start with the replication of DNA, right? In my last video, we have already gone through the confirmatory proofs that DNA is the genetic material through Hershey and Chase experiment. Okay, so now today we will go through the replication of DNA. Before we start with what does actually replication means, replication means producing its own copy, right? Same producing its same copy, exactly a look-alike. Okay, so what is replication of DNA? DNA is a hereditary material which can produce its copy on its own. Watson and Crick actually proposed the mechanism of replication of DNA, and it also stated that DNA is a semi-conservative hereditary material. What does semi-conservative actually mean? Semi-conservative mean when DNA produces its copy. When DNA actually produces its copy, it needs to initially it needs to unwind itself. The two strands of DNA which have been coiled up, it needs to unwind itself, and each strand produces its complementary strand. So when we get a new set of DNA, one strand is the older strand and the newer strand is being produced accordingly. So the two strands of the DNA molecule unwind and separate from each other like a zipper fashion. Okay, so it occurs due to the breakage of the weak hydrogen bonds which actually connect the nitrogenous bases, that is adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine. Okay, now all the strands act as a template. What is a template? Template is a mother strand from which a new strand will be produced. Okay, so each strand acts as a template for the synthesis of the new strand. The bases in the strand decide the complementary bases to be present in the new strand, and the complementary sets of the nucleotides gets attached to the bases of the old strand by base pairing. Like if the A is present in the old strand, obviously the nucleotide T will be attached to it and form a hydrogen bond. Now the result is the formation of two new daughter DNA molecules which are identical to each other, right? And also identical to the parent DNA molecule. Each DNA molecule produced, the new ones actually, has one strand from the parent and the other is the new one which is being synthesized. Okay, so during replication, half of the original DNA molecule is conserved and the complementary half is newly synthesized by base pairing. So that is why replication of DNA is said to be semi-conservative. There is an experimental proof as well to this semi-conservative mode of replication of DNA, which was being carried out by Michelson and Stahl in 1958. What did they do? They initially grew E. coli bacterium for many generations. Why they choose E. coli? Again, since it can replicate within 20 minutes. We can get the new generation of bacteria within 20 minutes. So they grew the bacterium E. coli for many generations in a medium which contain a heavy isotope of nitrogen, which was N15. Actually nitrogen is N14, right? But they used N15. And the medium in which they were grown, that was NH4Cl with heavy isotope of nitrogen, which was N15H4Cl. And this is the only source of nitrogen. Okay, the DNA of the bacterial cell was also labeled with the N15 nitrogen. Okay, Now, this heavy DNA molecule could, why this isotope was used? Because this heavy DNA molecule could be distinguished from the normal DNA by centrifugation. Again, why centrifugation? To differentiate between the between two components according to their density. Okay, in a cesium chloride density gradient, it was centrifuged in a cesium chloride solution. What did they next do? These bacterial cells containing N15 were then transferred to a medium which were containing to normal nitrogen, that means N14H4Cl. Okay, and not without using the heavy isotope of nitrogen, that was N15. At specific times, now at specific times they used corresponding to replication time of DNA, the samples were taken, right, and the DNA was isolated by high speed and evaluated for its density. That means they centrifuged it. Okay, the place where the DNA settled down gave its density gradient. And what were the actually the results of this particular experiment? After the bacterial cells had multiplied once, after each 20 minutes the density of the DNA was intermediate between the heavier, which was the N15 DNA, and the lighter N14 DNA. Okay, so it was possible only when DNA contained equal amounts of N15 and N14. And this is exactly what happens when each strand of DNA acts as a template, that means the mother strand, and uses the new material to make another strand during replication. Now, why the N15 strand acted as a template and made new complementary N14 strand from the raw material available? Each DNA molecule had one N15 and one N14. You can find out from the figure, that is, the red ones are the N15 DNA, the heavier isotopes of nitrogen. After 20 minutes, when the DNA got replicated, they produced one green and one red, that is a hybrid DNA. That means one N14, because the media contained N14, the normal nitrogen. And again, after 40 minutes, we found that the two hybrid strands and two normal strands. So the DNA extracted from the culture after 40 minutes showed that the density of one half of the DNA was was a hybrid, that means N14 and N15, which was identical to the one obtained during first replication, while the other half was in N14 density region, as it did not contain any heavy nitrogen. Why? Because in the previous one, after the replication after 20 minutes showed both of the strands were hybrid, right? So when one of these two DNA were acted as a template, one was the N15 and one was the N14 which acted as template, and the N14 again produced another N14. So there was no hybrid strand at all. Okay, so this is how Michelson-Stahl's experiment was carried out. Now, what is the basic difference between the DNA replication in prokaryotes and eukaryotes? In case of prokaryotes like bacteria, which have a single circular molecule of DNA, their DNA molecule is much small in comparison to the single chromosome of an eukaryote, and there is no beginning or end, and there is only one thing, that is only one origin of replication. Okay, but in case of eukaryotes, the eukaryotes contain a giant DNA molecule, and each chromosome has hundreds of different origin of replication. Okay, this is the basic difference between the DNA between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Now, coming to the machinery and the enzymes. for DNA replication. What are the main enzymes which is required for DNA replication? The main enzyme is the DNA dependent DNA polymerase. It is also called DNA dependent because it utilizes the DNA template to catalyze the polymerization of deoxynucleotides. Now, what are the enzymes used in DNA replication? The first one is the helicase, which is, since we need to unwind the DNA in the first step, so it is carried out by the enzyme helicase. These are special unwinding enzymes that help in breaking the weak hydrogen bonds which hold the two strands of DNA together. Next is the topoisomerase, which are the enzymes that break and reseal one strand of DNA. The primase, which helps in the formation of a primer. The short primer is formed usually. And most importantly, DNA polymerase, which can link free DNA nucleotides to form the complementary strand of DNA. And always DNA polymerase acts in the direction 5' to 3'. It can only act in that particular direction. Okay, now the bacterial DNA polymerase can also do proofreading. That means it can remove the wrong bases and replace it by the correct one, which ensures the accuracy in replication. Okay. Next enzyme which is required is the DNA ligase. The function of ligase is joining of DNA, which actually forms the phosphodiester bonds. That means it joins the nucleotides. Okay, and few repair enzymes which actually checks the errors if there is any error in the process of replication. Okay. Now, sequence of events which is actually carried out during replication of DNA is, the first one is origination of the replication. Now there are specific points, and these points are called the initiation points, from where the replication of DNA actually begins. As the replication proceeds, eventually the replication fork. What is a replication fork? The whole of the DNA does not unwind altogether. A part of the DNA gets unwind and a new strand is formed to that part, and then the next part of the DNA gets unwind. So this is replication fork. Okay. So next is the unwinding of the DNA molecule. The enzymes called helicases, which help to actually unwind or separate the two strands of the DNA and breaking the hydrogen bonds. It involves breaking the weak hydrogen bonds present between the bases. Next is the formation of RNA primer. An RNA primer is a short segment of RNA nucleotides formed at the DNA template before replication begins. So it is formation of the complementary DNA strand cannot begin without the formation of an RNA primer. Next is the synthesis of new complementary strand. That is, after the formation of RNA primer, new nucleotides are added with the help of DNA dependent DNA polymerase, which acts in the 5' to 3' direction only. That means the template has to be always in 3' to 5' direction. And this creates, since the DNA strands which separate out are complementary to each other, one runs from 5' to 3' and the other runs from 3' to 5'. There is no problem with the strand which is running from 3' to 5'. But actually the strand which is having a 5' direction, the DNA polymerase gets confused. So it actually does not start the replication from the 5' direction. It starts the replication from the other direction other than the 5' direction, which it considers as 3'. So a continuous strand is not formed. A continuous, you can see in the picture that this is the structure of a replication fork. Since DNA polymerase act, the blue ones are the template DNA. Since DNA polymerase acts in the 5' to 3' direction, that means the template is in 3' to 5'. One strand is continuous, and that is called the leading strand. Okay, and the other strand which is running from 5' to 3', it has a problem. DNA dependent DNA polymerase does not recognize this, and it considers the other end to be 3' and forms short fragments which are called the lagging strands or the Okazaki fragments. These are called the Okazaki fragments. Okay, they form short strands, and these short strands are being joined by the enzyme DNA ligase later on. And this is basically the step of various steps of DNA replication. The last step for DNA replication is the proofreading and DNA repair, where during DNA replication accuracy of the base pair is essential, and it is done by a huge number of enzymes which are the repair enzymes, and the proofreading ensures the formation of identical DNA strands during replication. So up to this in this video, we will continue with the next part of the chapter in my next videos. Thank you.